All right, we on TV? That's me, all my fall of glory. Welcome to the September 16th Charter Commission meeting. I call the meeting to order at 6:36. Begin as always with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Right. Chairman Weinstein is feeling under the weather and will not be in attendance today. We have a couple other members not here. Probably this is our first 6:30 meeting, so I think we'll probably have a couple more join us as we move along. And Commissioner Reynolds is filling in as secretary for this portion, so thank you for that. Open to public comment at 6:37. Seeing none, we'll close public comment at 6:37. Acceptance of minutes from the September 2nd meeting. I will accept a motion.
So moved. Seconded.
Second.
Second.
The motion was by Dan.
Dan.
And the second was a tie, so you can give it to John or Russ.
And second by John.
Discussion.
I didn't see anything out of the ordinary.
Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting minutes are accepted. Section or agenda item 4 is charter review. So we have 3 articles on the agenda, Article 11, 4, and 5. Suggest we go through as far as we can, given that these are the 3 ones left, and see what we can do for the rest. You look like you're going to say something.
Yeah, I just gave a handout, which I thought was a little bit appropriate against some of the discussion of last meeting, as well as this meeting, and just wanted to share this with the board.
So for the members of the public that are reading, could you just give a quick synopsis, or watching and are not reading, could you give a quick synopsis?
Yeah, the quick synopsis is how do we get the committees that we have and the organizations we have in government to work more effectively together by communicating and sharing some goals. And we discussed on how CIP and the planning board, and the budget committee, and the town council, and the school board should interact or improve that interaction. And so I just thought I'd put some things down to think about.
Okay, thank you. And I believe we'll be going over in Article 11 a lot of this, so we'll bring up these exact points during that. All right. So, Article 11, let me pull up my charter. Article 11 begins on page 27?
27, yep.
27. All right. So, Chris.
Sorry, I thought we were 7.
We assumed that several people thought that and would be joining us.
Depends on how it's paginated, I guess.
We're just getting into the meat of the meeting.
Okay.
So.
We're all happy to see you, nobody more so than Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick probably very happily is giving up his duties as secretary.
Get settled.
So we'll let Chris settle in. It's 6:30 time. We've got a few people, I think.
Let's see if the town charter. Did anyone ever follow up with the town to ask them if they would get the correct version of the town charter as the first?
Would have to ask whether Tony was going to do that, or that's Tony.
Okay,
I'm looking at mine, it says page 24, and you've already said page 27.
Page
so-
27 is the correct version of the charter.
Okay, the one I found is the right one. Okay, so maybe they did update it.
All right, so Article 11 is the administrative and judicial boards. Section 11.1 is administrative committees. The first section is the planning board. Any comments, thoughts, proposed edits to the planning board section?
I thought,
One of the, in reading through it, because we're talking about, I know we're talking about the charter, but we're also talking about the community in general. My proposal or question is that should we invite or make a spot for a member of the school board to serve on the planning board as well? Because for obvious reasons, number one, input from the school board is very important, I would think. And also, how is the school board going to understand where the town is navigating itself if there's not a member there?
I thought about that myself. Here's where my head is at. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I don't know that the school district has that much to contribute to what the planning board is discussing, because we don't really make any decisions that are going to drive development or land use, except in the very narrow sense of the school buildings and the facilities. I think the school district would be a very interested consumer of the information the planning board is considering and producing, because it's going to have maybe not real short-term, but at least medium and long, and especially long-term impact on our enrollment numbers. And that's something, for years and years, we go off of what we get from NESDEC, which is essentially an actuarial sort of forecasting that has a tendency to assume that the future looks like the past for better. I mean, it's not perfect, but I don't know what they do that's any better with the information they have. So to the extent the planning board is considering things that would really have an impact on the number of families in town, I think the district would be a very interested participant in that sense, but I don't know that I think the district would add a lot of value to the planning board as a provider of information, because there's nothing really we're doing that would affect that.
I would agree with you that it's much more of a benefit as a receiver of the information. But it's so important that they're there to listen to this new zone of housing that's potentially going to create a significant increase in students. And I think the other reason, on a participating standpoint, is for the school to be able to advise in that case, whoops, we don't have the current capacity for that kind of influx. I know we've got tons of capacity, but so I agree with you in concept. I think it's very important for the school board to say to its members, this is what's going on. Hold on to your hats.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to have the information. I'm also a little conscientious about, if you look at the number of committee assignments that school board members already are dealing with, and there's only 5 school board members, not 7, like the council has. So, you're already committing people to budget, CIP, the NHSBA. We tend to have a collective bargaining agreement at least every other year that we're having to do. I absolutely would be interested in getting updates from the planning board. I'm just not sure how much I want to go overboard in committing participation, because I don't really know what the school district can offer that the planning board doesn't already have. And as far as capacity issues go, you're right. There isn't enough buildable land left in this town to to challenge the capacity of the buildings we currently have.
Well, I think the recent master plan projection actually talked about, it was surprising the number of housing units that could potentially still be added. It was hundreds. It was hundreds. there's a lot of things on the books that have been approved that people just don't know about, and they were approved in perpetuity, because that's how they used to do things. So potentially, there could be hundreds of housing units still built in town. Whether they will or won't is really hard to know, because some of them are in sensitive areas where it will be difficult to build. But yeah, I think it said something like we could reach a population over 10,000, 12,000, something like that. It was a significant number of people.
Okay.
What I was wondering might be more helpful is, and this is, I don't think this is the purview of this group, is just regular reports on the impact fees that are collected, that, so that you guys know that, because the most two recent large projects in town got waivers. They didn't have to do any, because they were, one was single apartments and other was elderly housing.
Russ?
Yeah, in a lot of the discussions we talked about, are the charter items being enforced today, and do we have the networks and the paths in place to be able to get the committees working at optimal, best in check and balances and things? And I would look at it, whether it's a receiver of information or a giver, it's another pathway. When I read this, I'm assuming it may be a town councilor member who's the appointed member to the, it doesn't say that particularly clearly, unless the stuff after that that talks about the town councilor, the town council chair being the mayor or something like that.
Yeah, that's,
The language is, but I would recommend the more pathways we put up where school board and town council or CIP and the planning board are interchanging ideas and bringing them back to their places, it gives us the opportunity, whether they take it or not, whether it's used the way we hope it will be used. But I would strongly consider it.
So the language in the capital, because, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, why don't we put a school board member on it? Having recently been on the school board, recognize and you were on the school board too, right? Like the amount of committee assignments on that school board is just significantly different than on the town council. It's impossible to keep up with all the committee assignments that you're on. Or very difficult, I should say. But if I look at CIP, it says that the school board will be invited, not that they have to, because the charter can't make them. So like, would it be okay to potentially could be invited, and the school board could like make the decision as to like, all right, do we have capacity right now based on what's on the planning board's docket to have someone there? It's just a thought.
I guess what I'd hate to do is to have the planning board's quorum be dependent on that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I mean,
It's-
CIP's quorum is very dependent on that.
Yes.
So it's all good points. We're going to get into it later on, but one of the things that my kitchen table research has got me thinking about is what a significant role the planning board has in leading so much of what's going on. I mean, it's really the committee that has tentacles almost everywhere. And if one were to be part of that committee, they would get input, far-reaching input, not just increases in population. So it's a leadership role in strategy and, I mean, all kinds of things.
I wonder, so, I know we talked about the school board and town council getting together later in the charter. I wonder if it's the school board, the town council, the planning board getting together a couple times a year to like stay in alignment.
That would skin the cat, I think.
Because that way it gets to the consumer as
Sort of
opposed to,
Yeah.
yeah, right? Like
When
you
we
had-
get to section F, I think we have a lot to talk about with this concept. Because
So-
it's already exists, it's just nobody's doing anything with it.
Well, and it may need to be strengthened.
Yes.
Yeah,
I get back to the pathways thing, whether we can enforce something or not enforce, being more specific about some of the things that we think they should be doing in the interactions, the whole idea of check and balance, okay? I'd love to have the planning board, the town council, and the school board say, we have a reasonably good common vision of the plan. I'd like CIP and the budget committee to be able to say, gee, the school seems to be in the right path with the plan, and so does the town council. And anytime we have that interaction and people, whether we can fill the spots or not, providing the structure that allows that to happen.
or, I don't want to go too far down the road, but that kind of quarterly session or semi-annual session, I'm kind of thinking the superintendent would be a great participant in a meeting like that. I don't think our superintendents or town manager are overwhelmed with committee meetings. So maybe if we identified a few where the planning board and the town administrator and the superintendent were there, that would transfer information. That's just right off the top of my head.
Yeah. Okay, so but for 11.1A, we were saying we're good with the language as it sits in there right now.
Well, that was what I was gonna say, since two people brought it up, do we need to clarify that the appointed member
Is it,
is a member of town council?
It,
um,
I would say
We
it
might as
wasn't immediately obvious to me reading it.
I guess if you
That's what
haven't
it
been
meant.
involved in town government, you wouldn't read that and be
Yeah.
like, oh, hey, that's the town council
Could
member.
be anybody.
Could be any-
And to that, what is the second line in there for? If
the mayor line. I looked up, the only thing I could find in those was 672 actually defines what mayor means. That's the only, like, Chris, do you have any insight as to what within those chapters of the RSA? You're not a
Since it followed
planning
the
RSA.
appointed, I wanted to think it suggested that it was the town council who appointed somebody, but it didn't make sense.
That's the implication.
So, do we want to say there shall be a planning board consisting of 6 elected members and 1 appointed member from the town council?
That
So
would be
I've
clear.
typed in, one member, comma, who shall be a member of the town council.
Okay.
And then the next sentence is,
The chair is the mayor.
the chair of the town council shall appoint the town council member pursuant to,
Is that what mine says something different than that?
this is my,
Oh, your new
Proposed
language.
amendment.
Oh, okay, all right. So
I'm just making the changes as we
Okay,
discuss
all right.
them. So we can, and redlined, so we can go back and look at it all more
If we've been
efficient.
speaking about the school board as a possible membership, do we, I don't know how we say, or should I make a motion to say, should we add a school board appointed member invited or not?
Well, I think that the language, because then what we're going to end up having is a school board member who's invited and doesn't attend, which I think actually weakens it. That we were going to skin that cat, as Hal said, by like talking about how we get all of the boards together in a more regular fashion.
Right, but we have in another section in CIP, I think, that the school board has a member. It doesn't say invited or anything like that.
It does say invited.
CIP says invited, budget committee just says it will exist.
Okay.
Okay, so if both are accepted by the lawyers, I wonder if the committee issue is one that says we can define the committee to expand by one and have a school board member on it. I understand the discussion we had and whether it wins or loses. We have it in budget, we have it in CIP, and if we're trying to connect the dots, that's another reason I talk about the pathways, having a school board member to this.
It's a good question. I don't know the answer.
I mean, the problem is that everybody's elected on the planning board.
Except the one appointed by the town council.
But
So
they're
if you
elected
said-
to the town council. So it is, everybody is an elected person on that board.
So is the school
So
board
is the school
member.
board.
They're
It's
elected.
true.
Yeah.
I don't know, I think it would be, I worry about them not being able to be there, and it's just, we're putting a burden on them that's not, I like the idea of them having input, and I think there's opportunity through a joint meeting, or something like that, or, you know, maybe a more formal involvement in the master plan when it's reviewed, like having a committee that represents the school.
That's sort of why I put it on there as an
Yeah.
issue. There are places, whether we agree or disagree on that, I just want to know how do we approach it as a committee and being able to make that change. Because I have no problem putting it up for a vote.
Yeah, I guess the question is this, do you want to make a motion that we add the school board to section?
If I could just make a comment, my head's full of why we should and why we shouldn't. And maybe my perception of the importance to the planning board has increased. I know it has personally over my recent readings and so forth. How important it is for our strategic planning, and, I mean, that's big, that's kind of the big apple in my experience. We require it for CIP, we invite for CIP, we invite for budget, and to not invite for planning board doesn't fit for me because of its importance.
So, play devil's advocate.
Please.
The budget committee reviews the school's budget
Yep,
and approves the school's budget.
yeah.
The CIP reviews and approves the entire community's capital improvement plans.
Right.
The planning board, while an output of the planning board will be impact on the school, is there, I mean, I suppose what they approve could potentially have impacts on the school's population, as could all the ones that are sitting in perpetuity already approved.
Right.
I think
It's a conundrum.
it's a question of connections, it's a question of, I don't know how many building blocks, if we choose, to put in to say these committees need to meet. You know, whether you buy the thought that I had that said there should be some sharing of creation of goals and consistency with the master plan. That's one event. There should be a second event that said, how are we doing against those, and share them with the public so everybody gets focused that a lot of these committees are working together or at least speaking to each other.
How do people feel about this? So section G, which we know we want to do some work on, but the one that says at least annually the town council shall invite the school board to a meeting, blah, 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 blah. We know we want to work on that. Do we just add a paragraph to that that says, at least, however often we think is appropriate, the planning board shall, invite the school board for a joint meeting and review, future plans?
That would-
Why don't we just say the town council shall invite the school board and planning board to a meeting?
Because I got a
discuss
feeling the
projects.
planning board's gonna get swamped in that I do. Because, every one of the joint council school board members meetings I've been to, the agenda is like, it ends up, well, we've discussed how that ends up being. It's not what we really want it to be, but
How does it end up being?
it ends up being a dog and pony show, which is with an agenda that the school district has no input on. And both sides tend to walk away finding it, hey, nice to see you, but beyond that, not overly useful from a coordination and planning standpoint.
I think it's because there's no artifact that enshrines the shared vision of those two, leadership committees and boards of the community, that without that shared vision as an artifact, some shared artifact to align around, it just becomes here's what I'm up to. So, okay, sorry, John, go ahead.
No, that's good. I think way back, we tried to have that. We talked about simple things like buying paper together. What if the town and the school bought paper? Do we get, we talk about gas and oil. We talked about why does the town mow cemeteries and some ball fields and the school pay for an outside contractor to mow their, and that's, old. I know it's long ago, but there's still people that remember it. Obviously I do. That we tried to reach out and say, let's do these things, and we got it. You worry about you, we'll worry about us. So I agree. I think it could work if there was, what do you want to get out of it? Well, at the end of the day, it's the same budget, two different departments, the school and the town, and that's what we need to do, because the people that are contacting me are like, we gotta do something about budget. Well, I said, well, that's not what we're about, but that's what people care about. They're getting forced out of this town. Anyway, I agree 100% that it sounds good on paper, and it'd be great if we could get whoever's in those positions, now Dr. Allen and Steve, to have the vision and say this is the goal of it. It would be great, and the town taxpayers would benefit from it in the long run.
So, I want to make sure that we're not deviating too far from paragraph A under section 11.1, which I think is the,
Planning board.
do we want to add a school board member? School board invites a member to the planning board. I was going to say, unless the school board decides to go up to 7 people, it's hard for me to say that that's going to be a, active member of the planning board.
Also, just nuts and bolts, right now, you've got 6 and 1, so you have 7. You can't just add 1. You either have to replace one of the 6 elected members of the planning board or go
7.
to 9. Otherwise, you're going to have an even number.
Don't they have 3 appointed members as well that they can choose to do the?
3 alternate members.
Alternates.
Yeah.
Just
Are there any
Yeah.
alternates?
Oh, yeah, there's usually 3 alternates. They're
I
pretty
mean,
good.
do they attend?
Yeah, they do, they do.
Well, so,
There's a guy that brought it up, for what it's worth. I think Dan's comment about participation it's not realistic. It's too much. But somebody, I think it was you, Phil, recommended a periodic meeting, and I agree with the comment that was made that it's, thank you very much, but that's an agenda problem. That's not a communication problem, that's an agenda problem.
Well, agenda, yes, but also where is the visibility and the check and balance that makes that a meeting that people say the things you're saying should happen at that, in sharing visions and how you're performing against goals and the interactions happen.
Yeah.
With it just being you can invite the school board and no specific agenda, and as you said, maybe we want to work on that and then define that it should be maybe more than once a year or.
so there is a paragraph that addresses that. I'm going to return this to the agenda. 11.1A, do we want to add a school board invitation to the planning board or not? Do you want to do a straw poll, see where people are at?
Well, either there's going to be a motion or there's not.
Okay, is there going to be a motion to add someone?
I'll motion to add a school board member to the planning.
Is there a second?
I'll second to get a vote.
All right, discussion. All those in favor? All those opposed? Motion fails.
Okay. Thank you, though.
Love the idea. If there were 7 people on the school board, I'd have probably a different view. Work on that at the school board, there, Dan.
Yes.
We get bigger. Section 11.1B, Budget Committee.
Oh, boy.
I don't want to be the first to talk as the chair, but I have thoughts.
Then I'll say something first, and then you can share your thoughts. So the Budget Committee shall have all the powers granted to budget committees by state law. If you read state law, it's a bit shallow in terms of what that actually means. In the RSA on budget committees is very short. My suggestion is if we want this to become meaningful and valuable, we need to build on this somewhat, and if, the consternation that I remember when we had the gentleman from the Municipal Association here, and he was explaining what the Budget Committee does in other towns, and we realize how disconnected our process has become from what some of us thought it was meant to be.
Yep.
And it's just a reality that because it's not actually written anywhere in something that the town has to live by, it's free to be defined by the council's action or inaction. So if we want to hold that committee and that process to something more meaningful, here's where this is it. There's no other tool that we have.
Man, I'm going to disagree with you only to the extent that I think, if I read the RSAs correctly, the Budget Committee has a great deal of power that it's unaware of, so it's defined somewhere. And when we had the municipal guy here, at least I walked away with, it's not the town council, it's not the town administrator or manager, it's not the school superintendent who should present the budget, it's the Budget Committee who should present the budget. And that the Budget Committee has the ability to present whatever budget it wants. And so that's kind of a 180 from, what gets through at this point is what the superintendent and school board and town council want, and to vote against it, there's a default budget rather than it being. So I think it's there in the RSAs. If we need to put it in here, I'm delighted to say, guess what? You got some specific powers you may not be aware of. But I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just saying, I think, does everybody have the same understanding I did from
Yeah.
reading the stuff and hearing the municipal guy?
So the question is, what, if any, changes do you want to make to the language of 11.1B?
Before we do that, if you could take a look at this accountability thing I handed out. This is a tool that I've used in the past, and if you go down to this, who's responsible for recommending the budget? In the private sector, we call it who loses their job if something isn't done right. And I don't know if this is correct or not, but the budget starts with the department head, goes to CIP, goes to the town council, goes to the town manager, goes to the budget committee. Again, I'm not sure is how it works. I'm not sure that's how it's supposed to work. But I think it's important that that order be understood. Which, Russ, is basically what you were talking about earlier.
Yeah, and looking at your order here, I'm looking at department heads, and then it goes to the CIP. For CIP-related things,
Right.
that would be true, but for operating budget,
CIP and who then?
Budget Committee?
Goes right to the budget committee?
No,
No, it probably shouldn't.
No, it shouldn't.
department heads to the town manager, to the town council, to the budget committee.
That's
is
the process.
is
Okay, department heads to
To the town manager,
the town manager,
to the town council,
to the town council,
then to the budget committee.
and to the budget committee.
And CIP is there as far as, depending on your view, for either filling out the forms that we have today, which, Phil, you mentioned in the past you thought were a lot of work and not much benefit out of it, versus a strategic plan or a 5 or 6 year plan that talks about the priorities coordinated with the planning board. So I don't know where you put CIP.
I don't either.
Either it's a separate path.
What's the path?
Well, they're kind of CIP, I think of it, right or wrong, is it's a side work stream for anything that specifically involves capital formation.
Right.
And that has an impact on the operating budget if you're gonna set aside money from the operating budget to fund your trust funds. But,
So where does their product go to?
Right now,
Where,
The product goes to the town.
to the town manager.
yes,
so right now, the CIP is going to the town manager?
yes.
Then where does it go?
Town manager sends it to the council,
Sound,
his budget to the council. So the
Yeah.
CIP has to put together way in advance of basically along at the same timeline as departments do.
so the same track so far?
It's departments and CIP go to town manager, who then crafts a budget that goes to the council, that then goes to the budget committee.
So same process? Is that correct?
That, I mean, that's the process today. I don't know. Are you, I'm just trying to.
I'm trying to
Follow
figure out
what's
what, Al, what purpose is this
Yeah.
supposed to serve? I see the document, I see the words that are written on it.
Yep.
What is the purpose?
We're trying to follow accountability. Who's accountable to who?
So what is economic development? I mean, what is?
Well, forget
what is
that,
it you're-
forget that for a minute. Stay down here on recommending the budget, if you would.
Oh, okay, so recommending budget.
Yeah.
Recommending budget to whom? To what? I mean,
Who's responsible for recommending the budget to the citizens?
so the budget gets presented by the budget committee.
Yeah,
The budget is crafted, I'm gonna use that word, drafted by the town budget now, okay?
yeah,
By the town manager, by the department heads, the town manager, bring it to the council, to the budget committee, and the department heads and CIP committees, I understand, have input up through the town manager. So what the town manager is presenting is an amalgamated product to the town council and the budget committee for further review. That's the process in a nutshell.
Well, you can talk about the CIP being a capital budget versus an operating budget, because that's
Right,
really
exactly.
the only difference. So you can put it on the budget committee.
Because a capital budget influences the way impact fees are developed.
Right,
not-
we don't
not the
use it
operating
as a
budget.
capital budget today, though it's, the forms are structured for how much money you're gonna put away on the cost of the project and all that. We just don't.
So
but that's not the way it's going today, is my point,
Well-
is my point.
Depends on, there's a point of view. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but if you think of savings and debt as being interchangeable, I mean, both, there's a certain capital capacity of the town, and it's the sum of what we have and what we can borrow. So if you think of those two things as interchangeable, then yeah, that is sort of how it works today. I mean, I realize I'm arguing against arguments I made earlier, but from a certain point of view, if you think of the money we have available for capital is the sum of what we've saved plus what we can borrow, then yes.
I may have confused this more than I helped it. It made perfect sense to me.
oh, go
So,
ahead.
so what I was trying to do is to follow accountability. It begins with the department heads. It then goes to the town manager.
It goes some to the CIP.
No, just stay with
Okay,
budget.
just plain operating budget. Then to the
Operating
town
budget.
manager, yes.
Department heads to the town manager,
To the town council,
to the town council,
to the budget committee,
to the budget committee,
to the voters.
to the voters. That's not how it works today.
That is how it works today.
No, the budget committee does not present the budget to the citizens. The town manager does.
Oh, I see what you're saying. The presentation to the citizens.
Well, he's presenting his budget. It's not his budget. It's budget committee's budget.
So that gets to what the municipal association.
That's what I was trying to
So-
do through this.
RSA 32.5, budget preparation, says if there's a budget committee, all of that falls on the budget committee.
That's what I was trying to do with this.
And the only thing the budget committee does with the budget is a little parenthetical, how many votes
Right,
for or against this were by the budget committee or the town council.
right. And the town administrator gets up at the end of the year in the budget presentation and say, I cut from the budget this, 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 and this in the presentation.
I mean, functionally, it should be, go ahead.
I hear all that, I don't disagree with any of that. I'm trying to figure out where, we're talking about 11.1
B.
B of the charter.
So what Dan's comment
So
was,
so is the point to take, do you want to spell out what the powers of the budget committee are? Is that the change that we're contemplating to this?
I am.
Okay,
that's what Dan suggested as well.
so we can do that. We can just look up what the authority of the budget committee is, and you guys give me direction to spell out in the draft, in a red line draft, what the powers of the budget committee are. I spell it out in a draft, and then we come back and look at it.
Maybe my head is somewhere a little different. Powers are spelled out by state law. All we do is make it easier for people by putting them in here.
That's,
What is our expectation for what the budget committee is going to do?
What we were told was by a quote-unquote expert, and that's where I'm getting my information from. I didn't go to the RSA, perhaps I should have, I didn't. But I'm trying to codify in writing that the budget committee is the one that says yea and nay at the end.
And further,
so
that
then we add language that says the budget committee shall present the budget at the deliberative session.
Shall present their budget.
the budget they've adopted, which may or, saying theirs, I mean, no, they don't have to be experts. They,
Let's take a look at, sorry,
Yeah.
let's take a look at what the statute says.
Okay.
And let's follow the
Yeah.
language of the statute.
Perfect.
And
I
then
would
we'll
love to
come back and
reference.
redline it, and we'll take a look at it when we
Yeah.
have some concrete stuff in front of us.
So, I would love it to reference the statute, because it just says state law. And
Right.
everywhere else we're referencing statute, like, it'd be great if the specific RSAs were read.
Then we don't have to talk about whether it's real or not.
I hear what you're saying, because you in your mind think that it's one paragraph and
Oh, no,
one
it's multiple,
thing,
it's multiple.
And it's gonna be, it's,
It's in many places.
right. So, but I hear what you're saying.
I mean, I feel like that's easier than spelling out.
Let's take a look at
Okay.
what that might look like. And then let's just let it breathe for a bit. I'll circulate a red line draft, and then we can all take a look at it and decide how happy or unhappy we are at that point. I just think it'll be more productive if we have some language
Yeah.
that we can look at.
Absolutely.
Because we're in total agreement about the way the process currently works, and that we think it can be improved. I just want to translate that into something we can put in the charter.
So,
thank you.
so we'll do that. My other thought on this paragraph is the size. Do we want to look at, given the budget committee has had some challenges, having enough people
That is a
at a
lot.
different size? 11, 9 of whom are elected.
I don't know what the requirements are.
I guess we could look up the RSA for that too. We could talk to a lawyer.
So let's look up what the requirement is, if there is one,
Yeah.
and then we can make a decision about what to do. You kind of want this to be a bigger committee if you can, I think, because you want to have a diversity of viewpoints there. If you have 3 people, then, it's going to be the same people year in and year out, and they're going to have massive control over what the budget is. So I think you want to have a cross-section of people, if you can.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. that
Otherwise,
it's-
it'll be a one-person committee, it'll just be Al deciding what our budget is every year, and it's going to be pretty close to zero.
Again, this whole thing,
Yeah.
my feeling is if we could just, I've said it before, find a benevolent dictator.
Yeah.
Life would
No
be-
such thing.
All those in favor of designating Al benevolent dictator for life?
For life. His,
In perpetuity.
President for life,
So, just
the Democratic People's Republic of Zing.
RSA 3215 1A, 3 to 12 members at large, and may either elected or appointed by the moderator of town.
What is the RSA?
3215 1A, 3 to 12 members at large.
wow.
The 3 people you were talking about.
And just one other follow-up question is, so currently, we have the 11, if they don't have a quorum, what happens if they're not getting 11 people there? Because isn't that the problem? We don't have 11 people on the budget committee right now.
The budget committee doesn't even sit in the front of the room at deliberative session anymore.
Yeah, that's the
They
other,
don't even appear at deliberative session anymore.
probably why we can't get people to.
What's a
run.
quorum on 11/6?
6.
6.
Well, I don't, the thing is, if you end up, cart before the, if you end up telling the budget committee, you are the people responsible for presenting the budget that you approve after listening to the town council's requirements and the school board's requirements, it's your number that goes, and it's either voted on yes or no, and then there's a default budget. That is a completely different paradigm than the way the budget committee is operating.
Yeah, except we've always had a default budget that's
Yeah, they're always
Equal to or
larger,
greater
so that
than.
is-
So I feel like we're going back down, talking about what should be in B. We're gonna get a red line version based on RSA, and then we can,
Let's circle back to
No,
the
I'm
question of
I was
Everything
just
else
making
good
a
on B?
comment that may entice more people to say, I actually have influence.
right, yeah, if the budget committee's out there presenting it, some people might be like, I'm gonna run for budget.
Let's circle back to the question of the size, because between the town and the school district, the budget's over $20 million, right? The combined budget is over $20 million. To have 3 people,
I'm not
That's a
arguing
lot
for
of money.
3, I'm not arguing for 3,
I
I'm just saying, like,
understand.
should we go down to 9 from 11 or
I
something?
would love to have 11, but if we're not getting 11, I think you want to keep it as big as you possibly can get away with.
Yeah,
It's a lot of money.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I totally agree.
And a lot of, as Dan said, a lot of
I mean, it's, if
diverse opinions, which you certainly want.
you look at the town and the school all in, it's
It's a lot of money.
30-something million, right?
Yeah.
North of 30 million.
Is it 30?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
north of
20,
30s.
like 25 and 16.
That's what my taxes are.
That's why you ran for charter commission.
Why the appraisals went up 80% and the taxes only went down 30 or 40.
That, all right, paragraph C, Conservation Commission.
Oh, wait a minute.
Ah,
Wait a minute. Don't we want to move ahead on the members, the numbers of members?
I'm saying,
You said put a pin in it
let's
until we get
table
that.
that.
Oh, I'm
Let's
sorry.
bring that, let's give that some more thought and bring that back.
Okay,
We'll,
okay.
we'll tackle B as
I mean,
well.
that's a pretty easy one to, I'd like to get some decisions, but that's a pretty easy number just to pick.
At the next meeting, we'll do that.
Okay.
Speaking of easy, let's go to conservation, C.
Yeah, here we go. Let's
Thanks,
get,
We'll be starting the next meeting at 5:30.
Conservation Commission, C. 3, no more than 7. Doesn't even have a set number. I would love if state law said, again, back to the RSA.
Yeah.
You're making it hard, whenever we don't put the RSA in there, we're just making it really hard on citizens who want to understand something to do any cross-referencing.
True.
Well, those are two different things. They may
Yeah.
find the cross-reference and understanding it.
It's just that this, sometimes stuff gets renumbered and moved around, and sometimes there's not one statute to look at. Sometimes you jump all over the place.
We are
Yes.
in a period of unusual volatility for the RSA.
Just briefly, I did suggest to the town council that they invite my partner Eric Mayer. He's got a canned presentation on the latest changes to the planning and zoning laws presented to the council and the planning board. This is what's going on.
Didn't we have something coming up with our attorney?
That's exactly what I just said. We're
So-
trying to schedule that.
So
Dan,
there-
come on.
you guys.
I'm an old guy.
Uh,
I didn't realize that you worked for our attorney's firm.
I do. I represent the town.
Not this town.
Not this time.
I represent this town.
Yeah.
We represent this town,
Oh,
including
yeah.
me.
No, so the firm.
DTC lawyers does,
DTC
but
represents
I
it.
also do work for
You
the
do
town.
work for the town?
Yeah, but I'm not gonna review the charter as the town's attorney.
Yeah.
See, I
My
thought,
partner's gonna do that.
Not
Yeah.
the conflict of interest.
We're gonna have a lot of people in the audience next meeting.
It's not a conflict of interest because the charter commission spends zero money and has zero decision-making authority.
So, for reference, chapter 36A, 36A4 is the powers of Conservation Commission.
Just kidding.
So, let's keep it
Also the
light.
town moderator.
Yeah,
No.
I know, that's the bigger conflict. I'm joking.
It's not a conflict.
I'm joking, people at home, I'm joking.
The
All right,
the
so-
only thing I'll
yeah.
point out, sorry, on the
Nope.
Conservation Commission is currently the planning board is appointing one member on there
Oh,
Really?
as a representative, yes.
So why
we
don't
should note
say
that in here.
Yeah,
That makes sense?
One member,
Yeah.
appointed by.
Wait, so does the town council?
Yeah. So
There's
there's a
two
member from the
appointed.
planning board, there's a member from the town council,
So that-
which makes sense, because
Yeah.
a lot of what the Conservation Commission gets eventually goes to the planning board. So
Yeah.
they need to kind of be aware of what's happening in the Conservation Commission. Land Use Committee,
Want
right?
to throw a school
So-
board member in there?
School board's gonna be voting on turtle signs.
We love turtles.
Well, it's in the swampland way on across
one
the
member
street.
of the Conservation Commission shall be appointed by the town council, and one member shall be appointed by the planning board.
All right.
Yeah.
Short, sweet, to the point, moving on.
D, Capital Improvement Program Committee.
Ooh.
So, something I know is up to 6 members. Doesn't say how many, it's just up to 6.
Yeah, I mean, you,
Does an even number, is that troublesome?
yeah, so how do you make a contested decision with an
Right.
even number?
So we can increase that to 13.
Let's call it 7.
Let's say 7, yeah. People good with 7?
Yeah.
Yes. 5 members shall be appointed by the town council without consent.
Well, you've got 3 that are defined, 4 that are defined. And so we're now making
I gotta make sure the numbers work.
3 elected.
So, if they're not elected, they're appointed by the town council.
Well, I'm saying you have 4 organizations that are supplying a member.
Yep, and
out of the
3,
7.
right, and 3
And the
at
3
large.
would be, you have a town council member who's a member of the committee, and then you have 3 appointed by the town council?
Yeah, just like any committee that's
No.
not elected, they're appointed by, they're not appointed from the town
You
council.
you go
they're
from
appointed
2
by-
at-large members to 3, I think is a way to do it, and keep the appointments.
Oh,
where they
yes.
are.
Yeah, the at-large members is what we would increase.
Yeah, and who, and how are the at-large members are appointed, not elected on CIP?
Yes.
And they're all appointed by the town council.
Yeah, I mean, the town council, I think if you go to the chapter on their powers are to appoint members to committees.
So you have a town council member, and then you have 3 people appointed by the town council on a 7-member.
I mean,
I'm just bringing it up.
I'm gonna think about every
That's
other
how it
committee we
works.
have, that's, the town council has the authority to appoint, to form and appoint members to committees.
Well, budget committee is elected, planning board's elected, town council.
What's
is
the
elected.
concern?
Yeah.
You have 4 out of the 7 members
Mhm.
being, representing the town council.
As it is 3 out of 6.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I-
I'm just bringing it up as a.
I think it's hard pressed to
just
say that if someone's appointed by the town council, they're representing the town
I
council.
understand.
It just doesn't work that way.
Chris, it just went through my mind that.
No,
that says-
I hear you, Russ, it's just, I'm just thinking it through.
I mean, the budget committee doesn't have the power to appoint members to commit, like, to appoint members of the community to committees.
The CIP doesn't get a vote on the budget. The CIP committee doesn't get a vote on the budget.
Just on the capital
So
improvement
it's-
budget, it
So
recommends.
it's advisory, it's essentially advisory
Yes.
Essentially, yeah.
to the council.
Well, to the planning board,
No, more to the council.
right now, because it's all about
Yeah.
budget right now.
It
It's
gets
not
fed
about
into the
plan.
budget, and so,
That's always, so that's my concern about this, is far less about like the town council putting the screws or like taking over the capital improvement committee, and more about how do we ensure that the capital improvement committee is actually informing some sort of capital improvement program for the community, as opposed to just approving capital reserve fund.
Yeah, well, other than the
Deposits.
3 people who say, I want to look at the capital improvement program results, the only mention of capital improvement is one line item in the town's budget that says contribution to capital fund. There's nothing else in there out of the couple of hundred pages you potentially could have of projects over the next 10 years that gets into the budget presentation or makes that connection. At least that's the way it used to be, unless it's changed.
This,
And the school ends up doing that through borrowing or a separate warrant article, right?
Well, on the school warrant separate from the town, so yeah.
Right, but you have a separate warrant article that talks about capital contribution. It's not part of your operating budget, I don't think.
I mean, yes and no. They, on a recurring basis, they become part of the operating budget, but you do have to have a separate warrant for additions to, if you're gonna raise the money for an addition to the capital reserve fund, you have to have a warrant for it.
Go ahead, Chris.
the capital reserve funds are defined in the warrant articles. I mean, what they are, every time there's a contribution to it, there's a warrant article, which defines what the fund is and what it does,
On the school side.
on both sides.
Both sides.
Maintenance, technology, special education in the case of the school, whatever it is.
There's a
That's
line
defined
item-
in the warrant article.
Well, that would be,
Correct.
if you had a separate warrant article, the town, I don't think, has to do it. I think the town has a line item that says, what are you contributing in this budget to your capital program? It doesn't say what specifically that amount is. CIP may recommend you have to put away $5 million, and we put away $300,000. At least that's the way it worked. There's not a visibility, I'm not saying there should be, but there's not a visibility of the capital budget, whether it's part of a strategic plan. If we're borrowing $2 million to do projects, you'll do a warrant article in the town. But if you're funding the school bus, not a bad choice, if you're funding a new snowplow,
New snowplow, yeah.
it's part of what the contribution is, and then I think it's the town council who votes on withdrawing funds from the capital.
So, but if we were having a capital improvement program, a true capital improvement plan, like if you go back to even the budget sheets,
Right.
it's not all about putting money into the capital reserve fund. It's about, you can borrow, you can get grants, you can get, there's multiple funding mechanisms that can go
Sure.
into a capital
Absolutely.
improvement plan. It is currently, this is my soapbox on the Charter Commission, it is currently a tool just to say, how much money do we put away in capital reserve funds? Based on wish lists that are brought every year by the departments to that group, as opposed to, how is it ensuring that we are looking forward as a community and saying, here are the things that are gonna need to be, like, the capital improvements that have to occur in order to actualize the master plan,
Right.
that we will then have to ensure we have associated funding mechanisms aligned to them.
So, one thing you can do is go back to 5.7E,
Yeah,
which says a summary of the updated capital improvement plan with estimated costs shall be included in the town report, and such portion of the current year cost the council deems appropriate included in the town budget. You could add something to that that says, at the deliberative session, the budget presentation shall include. This is the current vision of the capital improvement plan. This is what the funds are, and you mandate it, and then it's up to the council to make sure it gets done, and the
Yeah.
budget committee to make sure it gets done as part of their presentation.
yeah, agreed.
Okay, so I'm gonna futz together some language that says the budget presentation, we can leave it, we'll come back and look at this later when we
Yeah.
get some text. The budget presentation at deliberative session shall include the updated, I'm just gonna say CIP now for shorthand.
Yeah,
With the current balance in the current and projected balance, you know, and projected balances in each account.
So,
And then it's there, and now you gotta enforce it. And the school board considers making that a requirement of the superintendent, if you think that's a good idea. Hey, I drove by the school a month ago, and they were putting a new roof on the brand-new building, and I said, didn't we just build this?
well, the roof.
I would like to know where that came from. So,
The roof warranty, hopefully.
and I remember,
We didn't fix the roofs during
I remember
the
building-
renovation.
I remember the town built the water treatment thing on Hersey Lane, then tore it down and rebuilt it. Now, the town didn't do that, DES did that. But I had questions when that happened, like, didn't we just build this building and it's now being replaced? And it just looks odd to a dum-dum like me who drives by there every day and goes, why are we doing this? Anyway,
So in that language, when you futz it about, like, I would really love it to, because the way you just described it, talks about the capital reserve fund balances. But again, the capital improvement plan is the plan for capital projects. The capital reserve funds are just one of the possible funding mechanisms for said capital projects.
So you need classical.
so include the, I don't know how to describe it, the capital projects.
Like capital improvement plan projects or whatever, right? Like what are the proposed pieces of work, bodies of work that the capital improvement plan is calling for, and what is the proposed funding mechanism for each?
Right.
Which then potentially impacts the current budget or future budgets, given it is a 6-year time horizon based on the RSA, to be like, all right, like, we're gonna borrow this money, and we're gonna save this money, and we're gonna,
Regardless of its funding mechanism.
right, there should be a plan regardless of funding mechanism, and then backed
Right.
by, here are the planned funding mechanisms.
Yeah.
We have this much in capital reserve, we're gonna have to borrow this.
I got you, Phil, I got
Okay.
you.
That's,
Right.
that's really, I think, on this whole CIP issue, that's really a good concentrated focus on what we're trying to do, I think.
Yeah, you guys want to shine a bright spotlight on stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
Yeah.
This gives you a mechanism to do that.
Yeah.
We'll futz with the language.
Yep.
Right, and CIP connects to the long-term strategy.
Totally.
You know, if you can't fund the CIP
put that in the minutes.
priorities, then you're not gonna be meeting the
shining a light.
planning board's vision of Newmarket.
Yep.
All right,
I'm doing the minutes as we go.
I see. The multitasking, redlining in minutes. So paragraph, so we're good on D. I would like to note that it does note the RSA's in D. Paragraph E, other administrative committees.
Yeah,
Seems cut and dry.
I think it makes sense to just leave it kind of open like this.
Yeah.
To give flexibility for what we don't know might be coming, that the town might want to create committees for. There's a lot of committees that are currently in place under this section.
Yeah.
Want to create or be required by law to create,
Yeah.
which
Right.
is a thing that happens with more regularity than it used to.
I don't think we need to delineate anything about this. We should just leave it.
I have to say, representing a lot of towns
Grab and
around the
slide.
state, Newmarket we're unusual in that we have a lot of council appointed committees. There's a lot of little think tanks. I think it's great. I think
it's good.
I think it's a useful tool.
We had snacks brought in from
Are these
Dan.
CBD?
Talking to the school board minute.
Well, the school board's probably,
I was going for THC, but
What
if
are
you
these?
go
They look really
CBD,
good.
that's fine.
Look like pure sugar.
Think of it this
Fuel
way,
to
Chris,
get
it's
through
not gonna
the,
react for an hour.
yeah.
So finish
All
up.
right.
Anyway, I
So-
think it's great to have all these administrative committees. I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think it's a bunch of little mini think tanks. And it gives people a chance to participate without having to attend 58 meetings. No, thanks.
Do we do F today at all?
We haven't hit F yet. Hold on.
We're on D, or E, where are we?
E.
The numbering is messed up in mine.
E was, leave it alone.
We're good with
Yep.
E. F,
I mean, just as a
I
threshold
don't know when
thing,
this came on, certainly wasn't anyone the 6 years I was on council.
This was, I think, 10 years ago when we made the edits, or was it?
F, I don't know why it's in brackets.
Yeah, under
Yeah.
the review of actions.
why on earth would you do this in February? Like a
Uh-huh.
month before the election, talk about a anticipated activity?
I think you're thinking about heading into deliberative session. And I think that's the theory. But John's right, there's no year of when this came
Yeah.
into the charter. Yeah, but all the charters are on the website except for the current one.
Yeah. I just,
I don't remember it.
So I don't know, I don't remember the history of this.
I mean, it's definitely not
I left
happening.
6 years ago, and I don't remember it ever happening. No one ever came to address it.
This ends up sort of getting to the point of what I put in the discussion draft of how do you have a meeting to share with the public what your goals were and whether you achieved them or fell short of them, so that people have that. And you can talk, I'm just trying to put the spaghetti together that says this is before the election. So it may be it may have been put in as an informative type thing for the voters of the town to get educated on what's been accomplished and what's maybe proposed in the budget before they vote on it.
When does the town report come out that has all that?
That's right at deliberative session, not deliberative, at
That's after the fact.
second vote. So this probably would be,
The town report lags.
Yeah,
it lags.
town report's available on the day of voting usually.
So-
Stacked in the corner.
but it's probably January timeframe that it's getting collected and printed and,
Yes. Your report as a committee member is due, or the committee chairs turn their stuff into the town administrator in January. If that report could come out a little earlier, I think that would sort of be what you're looking for, Russ. It would be, here's a report back on what we did, what we accomplished.
Well, and if you think about it, I think I'm right, that usually the town report is stacked in the corner on election day, and you come in and you vote and you pick up a town annual report.
You'd be surprised how many people don't.
I know, but to say you're sort of voting today on something that you would have liked to have read that first to see if you're
Sure.
with the program or not,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Makes
exist.
And of
So I
course-
don't know if this February thing was an attempt at that on somebody's part, but yeah, this is sort of similar to what I was,
I mean, is the purpose of this that, or is it the purpose of this, and we're trying to guess what someone wrote in the past, because the town council, right before it, E is town council appoints all these other committees. F is like, hey, once a year, the committees are gonna come and talk to town council and be like, what have you done and what are you planning to do? Is it an attempt to keep the committee list short and clean so that you have committees that are actually active and not ones that are just sitting around like
Yes.
dormant? Is
Yes.
that the intent there?
I believe so. I believe it's to make sure that there's accountability all the way around, that you don't have committees that kind of drift off into oblivion.
Yep.
But who's got the time?
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know.
again, February is a weird time of the year to be doing this with
Yep.
everything else that's going on in that month.
What do you like better?
August, July, I mean,
You know what? Early, like, I'm thinking about,
how about before budget cycle begins?
I was thinking like May. Like, sort of like, so anyone that's new to the council is like, here's what all the committees are, and here's what they're doing.
well, I challenge, the only thing I challenge there is in a reporting year type of basis, if our fiscal year is July 31st to
Oh,
then what I would say is you want to have the annual report or performance review, give them 3 months after the end of the fiscal year to be able to put something together to present to each other. I'd sort of say the October, November timeframe.
except they're preparing their budgets then.
I think you want to have it aligned so that the information that goes into the town report is the most contemporary information, not information of what things were happening 6 months prior. I think that's part of the theory as well, so you
Well, I
have,
think the town report only covers the financials of the fiscal year. It doesn't give a year-to-date.
No, there's like little committee updates in there.
there's committee updates. There's a planning board report, there's a police department
Yeah.
report, fire department, all these reports
I'm
that
wondering,
people should read, but don't.
I'm wondering, Chris, if there isn't a requirement as to when a town report is published.
We gotta check that. I don't know the answer to that. You're required to do one, but when, I
Yeah.
don't know.
All I'm saying
Huh.
is on election day, it's a little late in the process. When you're coming.
Section 9(1).
To your last
I had
point.
questions on.
Your last point,
Yeah.
it feels like the
This is
town report should maybe be more aligned to the fiscal year than to the election year.
Well, you want the voters to go into voting with the most recent information they have available.
Then we should
to
put
them.
it out in December to
The
give them
most
time to think about
contemporaneous
it.
information they have available to them. I just don't know, because you're still in the middle of developing your budget in December.
Yeah.
You don't have an approved budget in December.
That's next year's budget. If you look at December as reporting on how did we do last year, as you're coming up to forming the new budget, which you're putting up for vote in March, April timeframe,
But when does the budget have to be finalized to go on the warrant?
January.
January sometime, right?
So if you do December, then you're out of alignment, you know.
Well, if
You
you
wanna
go
keep it-
back to November, or, I'm just saying, and maybe it's not a good idea, but if the fiscal year data is there,
But let's not go back to I mean, the
But
town
you're
report
always-
is a different paragraph, right? This is about when does the town council hear from the committees they've formed as to what they've been up to?
I just want to know if it's happening. If it's not happening,
I think they're probably counting the reports that go into the
I
town
mean, yeah.
report as that.
Many of you I was in the town council 25 years ago, right? So many of you have been on since then. Don't the committees report periodically?
No.
Don't
They
you have
did
as
not
part of
the
the
6
town
years I
council
was on
agenda?
there, and I left
Never.
6 years ago.
I wish Scott was here to say if it's happening now, but I would doubt based on.
They're not.
I'm-
I was the chair of the Conservation Commission for 4 or 5 years, and I never was asked to come before the council.
That's fine.
and
The-
that's insane, as we're talking
Well,
about
what's
here.
supposed to happen is the council representative goes back to the council.
And reports.
And reports on the committees
Yeah.
that have counselors appointed. So those are the committees that they are getting regular reports on.
Yes, and that seems appropriate to me, but there's committees that have no council rep, that are council-created committees.
And at least in my experience, the council members that give a report of their committee standings are so brief.
Yeah.
They're just, we met last Tuesday, and
Yeah,
I'll throw another
but that's,
qualifying item on the table. We talked a long time ago when we first started this about how do you attract more people, and do we show appreciation for the volunteers that we have? I'll try to make this connection by having committee people or committee chairs in a public meeting report on their committee, even if it's advertising or whatever, gets them recognition, gets the committee known to those people who at least look at town council meeting, and gets more people exposed,
yeah, I mean, if you're doing. a
rather than
great
just
job.
having a town council rep said, I'll carry the ball for you.
I mean, what
Well-
if it? Go ahead, sorry.
I'm just trying to be, I hear you, Russ, but you gotta be practical too, because there's a lot of council-created committees, and if they report at every meeting, it becomes
Right, I
cumbersome.
wouldn't say every meeting, but, quarterly, twice a year or something like that.
Frankly, I'd love them to do what the charter currently says, which is annually. Like, it's like the town,
Yeah,
that, I wonder if we make this, so I think that the February time box feels artificial to me, in that it's not about the budget, it's not about how much money they spent, it is literally about, what did you do? What do you plan to do? Like, you could spread that over the course of the year, like, so you don't have, like, their February meetings are full of, like, the 10 committees they've formed coming and talking to them, as opposed to like, all right, hey, once a month, we're gonna have a committee here talking about what they've done in the last 12 months.
And the other thing that's missing from this is, if you really want the committee chairperson to come in and make the update. This should say that, because right now, having the council rep make that report to the rest of the council checks the box.
Yeah, and again, that is about the ones that they consider important enough to have council voice on. This is more of, this I think is more like, how do they keep the house clean to make sure there's no, like,
This is an issue of council management.
Yeah.
This is an issue of how the council manages its business. So when I was the chair of the school board, there was curriculum development in every department in both schools. And we scheduled in advance, a year in advance, you know, on this date, we're going to hear from the elementary school English department. And the next month, we're going to hear from the high school math department. And we laid it out and said, you know, worked it out with the superintendent, this is what we're going to do. And because we're giving 6-9 months lead time, we expect to have a nice, well-organized
yeah.
presentation. You can do that with these committees.
Yeah.
You're going to come in on this meeting 6 months from now and report. If you just organize yourself to do it, sit down with a calendar, the chair sits down with the calendar with the town manager and says, this is what we're doing. This is what I want to, this is how I want to set this up, and alert all the departments. You can do it that way. So you're not tying yourself to February.
Yeah.
And you can do it in a coherent way throughout the year, and there's accountability and visibility all up and down the line that way.
And then if you need 3 paragraphs in February
You don't need
for
to
the
write
town
into the
annual
charter,
report,
that's
you ask for
what the
that.
council should be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if anything, I would just remove in February and just have at least annually.
And at least annually.
At least
Yeah.
annually. That's the
I don't think
language.
we need to specify the month. I think that's,
I think they were trying to do something with that month that makes this like, it's all pear-shaped.
So at least annually and more often if town affairs warrant.
Yeah.
Or I'll just add something to that, which says at least annually, I think is great. And then you may want to have something that says, this should be on, committee reports should be a standing part of the town council agenda or whatever.
I
Not
think-
everybody reporting at
Yeah.
once, but as you say, if you have 8 committees, then schedule them, you know, in advance, that each town council meeting, do you have that as an agenda item, or what puts that?
I hear that, Russ. I'm a little reluctant to tell the council exactly how they should
Yeah.
write their agendas, but I do think it's a good thing to highlight and celebrate the volunteers, like you say, for the chair to really pay attention to this stuff and use it as an opportunity to highlight the good things that all these volunteers are doing. You know, we did recreation master planning for a year.
Yeah, it does
Which
feel
people have
like,
completely forgotten and the report doesn't exist anymore. But whatever.
I think it gets back to the like highlighting the volunteerism, right? How do we foster a spirit of volunteerism?
Yeah.
And celebrating it in the public forum of a council meeting on a regular basis, which I know we can't write into the charter, but removing February and allowing that to occur,
Yeah.
like,
So there's going to be a report that goes with the charter, that goes with the proposed revised charter. That's going to highlight what we did and why we did it. And we can use that as a opportunity to push across some of the points we've been talking about. here and
I'll
elsewhere.
throw in just something that may give you, if you just say, at least annually, and then you can say something like, committee reports should be scheduled throughout the year.
Yeah. And it's really the council's discretion, but that's how I would do it.
Chris, who does that report go to?
The report goes to the council. It can be made verbal, if it's made verbally, it's in the meeting minutes. You know, it's summarized in the meeting minutes, and if they want it in writing, then they get it in writing, then they ask for it in writing.
Once again, I'll say my piece and I'll let it go. If you don't specify it should be the committee chair, then it's just what's happening is gonna keep happening. It's gonna be the council rep in that part of their agenda where they talk about
Doesn't it say
committees.
It already
It
says shall
says
meet
that.
with the chairs.
of all standing town committees.
Okay, good. Thank
Already
you.
says that.
Thank you for correcting me.
But now the council has to say, we want to hear from the chair.
Yeah.
Yes. Correct.
Yeah,
You can write whatever you want in the charter.
it's gotta follow it.
Yep.
Giving them
Town
a
member
hint
has
that
to
they
sue
should
the
spread
town
it
for not
out
following
throughout
the
the year
charter.
is a good thing.
You just have to be prepared with your torch and your pitchfork when things don't happen.
The only thing
You
we
gotta
can
get 12
do,
people in this room and they'll get everyone's attention.
the only thing, the narrow focus we have is to see if we have ideas on, to create a structural path to make things better. Whether people follow it or not, we've seen the consequences of that as well, but if you don't have the path to find, there's very little hope it's gonna happen organically.
All right. Not gonna cut this off, but we are an hour and a half in and we are now at G. We're
Yeah.
still in 11-1. School board. There was conversation about do we want the planning board or budget committee also involved in these conversations?
Say that again.
This is at least annually, the town council shall invite the school board to a meeting to discuss projects currently under discussion, anticipated activity for the upcoming year. There's two things we want to talk about here from the previous conversation. One, is it just the town council and school board, or is there others? And two, is the guidance of to discuss projects currently under discussion and anticipated activity for the coming year the right framing mechanism to give them
No,
for what that meeting should be?
no. It isn't, and as a practical matter, if you look back, I think I mentioned this before, the last school board meeting, town combination meeting was scheduled an hour before a town council meeting. It lasted 55 minutes. One prior to that was even shorter, and it talked about how to compost waste. And so they're unproductive so far. So my question is, and that was put in the last charter commission, I think either we take it out, because why force people to do something that they're not gonna do? Or put enough meat into it, or guidance into it, as to what should be discussed.
I mean, I'd argue they are doing what this says. They could look at
Right.
this and say like,
Right.
yeah, we're doing that.
Yep.
But like, the question is that the thing that is that the framing of conversations?
And that's what I tried to articulate, we get so specific and say, and share the 6-year planning horizon, or whatever the agenda is, and I don't know the answer to it. What it's doing now is a little bit of an embarrassment.
Chris, did you get the draft thing that I put down? I don't know if any of the,
So,
I have this.
it says discussion draft on top. Take a quick read and see if, I tried getting at that point by putting everybody in a room and making it public. And I take no pride in authorship.
This is the holy grail. I mean, this is what the last 3 charter commissions have talked about.
mhm.
This is not a criticism, but this is the holy grail. This is what a city form of government would give this to legal teeth. Okay, but this is, I don't even know that they're,
What do you mean by holy grail?
we've talked ad nauseum about how we'd like to see cooperation and joint planning and all this other stuff. These are completely different entities with completely different constituencies and missions. They both have buildings, they both have employees, they both have needs. That's what I would call kind of back office stuff for finance and audit and things like that kind of in common. Just like you would run a big organization with a holding company on top, providing your HR and all that stuff, right? And then that would be common across every sub-entity within that organization. And it's just, what are we trying to accomplish? We're trying to accomplish some kind of joint planning, so we understand, so we do everything we can to make sure resources are allocated efficiently.
Resources are allocated efficiently, and also that there is some, to the greatest extent allowed by circumstance and law, that big bumps to the tax rate don't come from both directions simultaneously.
Right.
And there's only so much you can do.
Have we experienced that in the past 30 years? I mean, are
Not
we
that
in
I-
fact accomplishing?
Perhaps, but by accident, if we are. Well, not completely by accident, I suppose, but not by virtue of having sat down and really talked it through.
Yes, well said.
Well, the need for the need of this, take the school, okay? That discussion was on the table for decades, right? And then it came to a head in the mid-2000s, largely, when I was on the school board. And really tried to focus a lot of attention on it. That was a discussion that took 10 years, long after I left the school board, involuntarily, wasn't reelected. But it continued. That was no secret. And it didn't really have a direct impact on what the town was doing. The town had the new fire department, which was critical, in the Public Works building. That was critical, and that need was met. And the police department had been done in the early 90s? Early to mid-90s, John?
Mid to late, yeah. Mid to late.
So I think there's opportunities to do these things. I guess I want to push back against a little bit of the notion that there's been that there hasn't been responsibility and responsible administration on the part of both entities over this period of time. Taxes have gone up, no question. The quality of services and the quality of facilities in the town, I think, is exceptionally high. I don't see anybody demanding for less services or, less nice facilities. So we highlight these things. I think it's very important. I think it's important to keep this discussion going. I don't see how to work out, except for aspirational things, language in the charter to accomplish this kind of unified 5-year plan, which historically 5-year plans have negative connotations. Phil will tell you.
Yeah.
Chris, what I'd say is it's somewhere between what's been put in the last time, where we said the town council should invite the school board and they should have a fruitful and meaningful discussion, and something that defines everything. But unless we put, if the structure should work, that these committees should be coordinated and there should be a master plan, and the school board and the town council should be aware of it and either change it if it's not correct or have input into it, or follow it and to educate the taxpayers that these are not, yes, they're independent committees taking care of pieces of the puzzle, but you gotta put the puzzle together and say, is the school performing and getting the job done, and is it worth it? Is the town getting the job done? So,
If I could interject here, I remember when we had Todd here and Steve, Todd went through a litany of opportunities that he saw relative to budgets and efficiencies. And his comment, I believe, was we could do much better if we put our heads together on a number of issues.
what else do you expect him to say? I mean,
I don't know how to take that question.
I mean, I've definitely heard other humans, not Todd, say that, like, it doesn't work. We can't do
Right.
it anymore together.
Right.
Like, sort of as if there's nothing else we can
I've
do.
heard that forever. So, in my opinion, we've got a high-quality superintendent that believes there's opportunities that we're two different organizations, but that doesn't mean you can't share best practices. It doesn't mean you can't share facilities and all this other kind of stuff. My suggestion would be, and I agree with you, your premise completely, Chris, that you can't force, you can't do it. I mean, it won't work. It's proven. However, I would at this point challenge, while we are at this point, challenge Steve and Todd to come up with some recommendations in their own that could help us resolve this.
Could I propose some potential language here? That at least annually, or we could say like 2 times a year, the town council and school board shall meet, and as opposed to discuss projects currently under discussion, anticipated activity for the year, be like to share annual goals and progress to goals,
There you
like
go.
just to get to like, they both set goals. School board sets goals, town council sets goals. We don't tell them to share their goals. We tell them, talk about stuff you're working on. It's
That's how
a,
you end up with a slide about composting.
right, that's the end up with composting, because we're working on composting, which is not bad, it's great, right? But like, it's not a strategic goal that the council or the school board had. So I think about goals and any identified opportunities for collaboration or something like that, or for efficiency, something that like gets clear to, we are directing, or the charter is directing them to be like, hey, this is what we are holding ourselves accountable to, and this is how we're doing against it. What are you holding yourselves accountable to and doing against it? And clearly stating it is to also look for opportunities for collaboration and efficiency.
I think that's great, and I also think that, and again, I put my business hat back on, I remember in the private sector, sharing goals and objectives for the coming year, which I was going to talk about later on when it comes to accountability. But that would be a great meeting to understand the two incumbents' goals and objectives. You won't be talking about compost, or if you are, people are going to be a little dismayed.
Well, that's the whole part of it. Regardless of how you put the structure, I think at least twice a year, one's to be able to share the goals so that as the year begins, people, both the school and the town, know what's important to each other. And then towards the end of the year, how'd you do? Okay? And if you've accomplished nothing, then maybe we should start. All we can do is put a structure. We can't guarantee it's going to work.
But some words that just came to mind is that we can use what we have now. The town shall invite the superintendent to a joint meeting twice a year to share goals and objectives. And if the superintendent decides he doesn't want to show up, or she doesn't want to show up, that's not a very promising
Right.
leadership characteristic.
Why the superintendent?
Well, the school board, not the
as opposed to
superintendent,
board?
right?
I'm thinking, well, let me go forward, yeah. I mean, I would like to hear the superintendent and, well, now I'm kind of thinking maybe,
We travel in packs, Al. If we come, the superintendent will be there.
no, I keep thinking of the superintendent and the town manager being the CEO. So, but not in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sharing their personal objectives, but not in this world.
See, but their person, like, I think about goal setting with, I've done it with the superintendent more recently than the town administrator, but I've done it with the town administrator.
Yeah.
They're like aligned with, but different from the board's goals.
Okay, board's goals, fine.
Yeah. And it's,
Yep.
again, this is another thing you can't necessarily put into words, but the thing that I always see people get wrapped up in, and I know paper was just an example somebody threw out by way of example, but guess what? If neither the town nor the school district bought a sheet of paper in the next 12 months, it's not going to move the tax rate. It's got to be meaningful, and there's really like 3 things that are meaningful. people, energy, and real estate.
Facilities.
Facilities.
Facilities slash real estate,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Those are the only three things that move
Primarily
the
the
tax
people.
rate.
Well,
Primarily the
The biggest
people.
cost item.
People are,
well, and if you
and
look
all the
at
stuff to
people,
support them.
Yeah.
the
Benefits,
biggest benefits.
benefits
Yeah.
is huge.
Right, benefits, yeah. So how, it's not just,
And that's
get
all
together and-
contractual on the school board side.
yeah, it's not just get together and talk about
Some of it
this.
is.
But
What gets
vast
worked
bulk of
into
it
this,
is.
most of it is, yeah.
Make it
Yeah.
a meaningful conversation in terms of things that are achievable. Because the other thing you got to keep in mind is there's two very different bodies of law that govern municipalities versus school districts. There's different institutional things. So where do well, I guess we're down to 2 insurance carriers left in the municipal sector in the state of New Hampshire at this point. But, what are the actual levers that either side could pull that would make a meaningful difference on this? There's not actually that many of them. And people got so wrapped around the axle for years about things like, why do we have one accountant instead, two business administrators instead of one, without stepping back to say, does that actually really change the tax rate? No.
Hold on, John had his hand up. I wanna make
Yep.
sure.
I would debate that. I think if some good faith had been shown, and someone could answer why the school decides to pay someone, a private company, a lot more money than they're paying our people who are making $9.25 an hour for cutting lawns anyway. I think the 7 of us here, I think I can speak for Scott and Tony, we all agree we like that utopia. They're gonna get together. We have some wording. We brought this up 3 or 4 meetings. We get bogged down by it. We all want it. We all think it would happen. We also said at the beginning that out of this, we can recommend some things. It doesn't have to be something cast in stone. We're changing the charter. We've all been on different councils, been on school board, been on town council, been on planning board, been on zone. We have, some past clout and some, I just think we're bogging it down. We've spoken about this 3 different nights. This is the 4th.
So,
At length. I think it's wicked important. I don't want people to not think I don't, but we can't force them to do this. We can ask. I think we already said we're gonna ask. Not Steve and Dr. Allen, the town administrator and the superintendent. Get the names out of it. We'd like that. We recommend it. We just need to move on. That's
so we have
the
some
only one on
proposed,
this island, but
we have some proposed,
I've already written it in.
We
All
do.
right. So do we feel good about that right now? Can you read it? I'm sorry.
At least annually, the town council shall invite the school board to a meeting to discuss, to share annual goals and progress towards goals and identified opportunities towards collaboration.
Perfect.
That's just very rough,
But
Yeah,
perfect.
okay.
okay? Just
Yeah.
capturing the
Perfect.
concept.
Did you say just once, or did you put in twice?
Twice, you said twice.
I said,
You said
I said
annually.
at least annually, I haven't changed that piece of it.
I-
My suggestion is that we have this in red line language now. I will circulate the red line and people can mark it up.
Okay.
And we can get
Okay.
towards the final conclusion.
Okay.
I think
Because I'm-
despite 4 times of discussion, we've come to a good spot.
It's
And
better than
maybe
where it sits right now.
Maybe it took it.
Some discussion, I guess. All right. 11.2, Judicial Board Zoning Adjustment. Sorry, Zoning Board of Adjustment.
I recommend that we don't mess with this because the ZBA has statutory authority. It's pretty strict. And we just rely on what the statute says.
I agree.
Is there, so maybe there's too many statutes, but could we just ask the lawyer to see if there's a reference to RSA as opposed
It's
to?
67737 or something like that.
Yeah, that,
I will check it.
thank you. Section 11.3, Terms of Office.
Didn't we change this?
No, we aligned, this is aligned to something else, but there was another one that we had to change to align to this and the other one,
Yeah, we changed it from March to April.
April, yeah.
And somehow, this one that's posted on there does not reflect that.
It doesn't?
Not the one I
This
could
is, this is the
find.
mistake that I made. I was looking at an old version of it.
I pulled out the version that says it was 2015, which would have been the last time we did this. That's what it says on the front page.
Okay.
All right.
And it
any-
still says that March thing.
All right. if a member received an appointment or was elected subsequent to the second Tuesday in March of the year, term of office originally commenced, the term of that person was appointed will end the first Monday, yeah, okay. So everyone's good with that language?
I am.
The April language, because that is consistent. with
Only a
other
lawyer
laws.
could love this language.
Yeah, it's messy, but. Section 11.4, vacancies in elected office.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I mean, it's state law, right?
I don't know if it's just to, above, it talks about the planning board. The planning board actually appoints their alternates. Does
Oh.
that make a difference?
So what if there's a vacancy? What if there's, not the alternates, what if there's literally like,
Yeah, I don't know, but I didn't know if that made any difference. Every other group, I think an alternate is appointed by the town council. Does that
That's
sound right?
someone who's being they appoint a town councilor and then they appoint a.
No, there's alternate members for certain commissions. And those alternates are appointed by the town council. The planning board alternates are appointed by the planning board. And alternates are important because they do vote frequently because people are absent. So I just want to make sure it's clear that everybody understands the planning board is not,
Yeah,
That
Yeah.
was my
They're-
question,
they're
is that
doing it separately.
they're appointed as alternates, but and they can attend the meetings if they want without a vote
Yeah.
to know what's going on, but they only vote if they are substituting for an
Yeah.
existing member.
okay,
The planning board is an unusual statutory animal because the ZBA is all quasi judicial.
mhm,
The planning board is a hybrid. It's
Yep.
got a judicial function, and it's got a planning forward-looking function, policy-making function. That's why the authority is different. Planning board is a special animal in law.
All right.
It's more like the council, it's like a
right?
hybrid.
So do we need to have anything in there about how we appoint alternates across all of these
See-
different?
No, I don't think so.
no,
I
because that's
think
about
it's-
vacancies, that's about if like, an alternates is just like someone's not there, so they have to step
They're
in.
temporarily
Temporarily.
filling vacancies.
Not like someone,
Like a
not like
one-night absence.
Counselor White left because he moved, and they have to like
Right.
fill
Yeah.
that vacancy.
Yeah,
Strangely enough, some of this comes in that you need something in vacancies, because depending on when somebody resigns, okay, it could be just after there's a vote, and then the board gets the ability to appoint a replacement for the next year until there's a next meeting, versus resigning a day before the vote, in which case you need to find a candidate to be elected. So there's some,
quirks.
just bringing out some political shifting that, depending on when somebody resigns,
was this
The
one
power
you were
either
looking
rests
at?
with the
It says
council or
this,
the
where it
voters.
says-
Correct.
Can you read that? It says amended on 2015.
That's the old one, that's a mistake.
All right, everyone.
I was looking at.
That's a mistake.
Right, that's the erroneous one.
We are
What I have
at-
Here is 2020.
Al, I think about resigning all the time.
All right, that is it for 11. Shall we get some of 4 done?
I thought 5 was next on the agenda.
Is 5 next on the agenda?
We're going back?
11, 4, and 5.
Now we're
was-
going back and picking up.
Oh,
what we-
sorry, it's
4
11,
was
you're right,
second.
11.
11, 4, and 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Because
that.
we left 4 and 5 as,
Yeah.
so 4 is administration of government and town manager, 5 is finance, budget committee, and CIP.
Well, should we just make a preemptive motion to go past 8:30, given that it seems
Is
almost
it- do
no
we have to
chance
do
we're
that, or
going
is
to
it
get there?
9.
It's 9
It says
still.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't say
It's
3
It's not
hours.
2 hours,
Yeah,
it's
it's
9
just
o'clock.
time.
Okay, all right, never mind.
So 4 is
Thank you.
lengthy. 5 gets into that budget procedure that Dan was talking about earlier. And Al.
I mean, I think I could, there's really only one section of 5 I would look at and want to tweak. I don't know if other people feel
Back in
similarly.
our original notes.
Where on 4 are we?
Pay me now, pay me later.
So did we get through any of 4?
Yes. Oh, no.
No, 4
I'm
and
sorry.
5, we
I'm sorry,
We
those,
skipped-
we skipped 4 and 5
I'm
because they were the
sorry.
meatiest ones. We
It's
were waiting
my-
for the form of government
it's
conversation.
my notes,
Ah.
to myself. Okay.
We skipped 4 and 5.
Yeah,
Okay.
okay.
So we already talked about some budget things today. Do we want to stick with that conversation by going to 5 right now, or would people rather
Can we
go to?
get through it? Fine.
You don't need to go through it.
I think we have a puncher's chance of getting through 5. 4,
I think
I don't
Four,
think we do.
four,
Four you'll never make.
Four will never get through because it's all about the
I'd
administration.
recommend we
Yeah.
go to 5.
Through 5.
Let's see what we
Okay,
can
well,
do.
let's try.
Let's do our best.
So now we're on 5.
We're on
Yeah.
5. Fiscal year.
I've got no
Anyone want to move our
objections.
fiscal year? 5.1, okay. 5.2, budget procedure. This gets to that conversation we were having earlier.
The council shall review the budget and make such modifications and amendments as it desires and submit the proposed, oh, that's correct, okay. I thought that was wrong. It's not.
Yeah, I mean, 5.2 says what I would want it to say.
Yeah, it does.
Just making, it's the manager who's proposing the budget, which I think is fine, but that's not what's, the budget committee still has the ability to review.
Well, I think that comes in 5.3.
I almost would say, was that in 5.3 is the hearing?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, do we want to call out that it is unless it's,
The 2 places.
that it is the budget committee presents the budget to the voters, right? Because the budget procedure is all about, this person gives it to this person, committee, this group sends it to this group, this group gives it to the budget committee. It is the budget committee that submits it to the voters.
I would do that in section 5.4 if I was
Okay.
going to do it, probably in somewhere in C or D.
Well, the only reason I was thinking about 5 point, I'm not against putting in 5.4, but sort of codifying in here the idea that, the concept that it is the budget committee's budget, not the council's.
That's a good point. So 5.3 just talks about the budget hearing. It doesn't talk about all the other things the budget committee is supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
like reviewing the budget, discussing it.
It's just the hearing.
Yeah, it just talks about the hearing, which is, a bit anticlimactic if the budget committee's actually done their work.
Yeah, like, something just as simple as a sentence at the end after a municipal budget committee, like, it is responsibility of the municipal budget committee to present the budget to the voters.
152?
5.2.
Yeah, and again, it says the town manager's budget as presented shall be submitted to the municipal budget committee, which presents.
Wait, it says the town manager's budget?
If the council
If the town
fails to
council
act.
Oh, I'm
fails to
sorry, I'm
adopt
sorry.
the budget by November 15th,
Okay, that's what they feel,
which has
yeah.
never happened in recorded history,
But it's,
Because what
but they're
else does the
referring
council-
to it as the town manager's budget.
that's correct. If the town council fails to adopt a budget, then the town manager's budget goes to the budget committee.
Right.
Oh, gotcha.
The word "if" is the word you want to
So,
lean heavily on.
Yes.
yeah, with that one.
Does a
But
lot of work.
that's actually, thank you for like noting this, because
But the
it actually says
budget-
nothing about the budget committee other than, like, it takes everything. It says nothing about, like, the budget committee, like,
Yeah,
then
All right,
up-
The
so-
budget committee's authority is set out elsewhere in the charter.
Yeah.
What the budget committee does is set out elsewhere in the charter.
Or just to add to the last sentence, submit, no.
like, the budget committee, in accordance, like, with this charter, like,
RSA's, whatever.
ultimately submits the budget to the voters.
I-
I just want to clear that, like, it,
You can just say the budget committee, will proceed to consider the budget as described in section such,
There we go.
article such and such
Yeah.
of the charter.
yeah, just
Just
reference itself.
cross-reference it so you don't rewrite.
I like that. Are people good with that?
Somewhere in here, I think it would, what we all are, keep coming back to is that we want the budget committee to review and adopt a budget that they will present to the voters as their own. To me, right or wrong, the word adopt feels kind of an important thing in this because it isn't just approval, it's, hey, we agree, we're on board, this is,
Adopt.
So here's-
It's their baby now.
So here's,
Yeah.
so here's my proposal. New sentence, the municipal budget committee shall proceed to review and adopt the budget as described in Article XX
Yep.
of the charter.
Are people good with that?
Is that the beginning of the of
It's the
5.2?
last sentence.
No, that's the last sentence of 5.2. It seems to be organic. It goes to the budget committee, and then the budget committee picks up the ball and runs towards the goal line.
Can you say the words again? You said review
The
and
municipal
adopt.
budget committee shall proceed to review and adopt the budget as described in Article XX of the charter.
And XX is where we're.
To be
gonna
determined
describe-
once I go back and
Gotcha.
find the appropriate cross-reference. That's
That's-
a little thing that I do when I do my work, is to
Go here. I'm good.
put XX and then go back and fill in the
I
blank.
got it.
I'm happy.
All right, everyone good?
If Dan's happy, I'm happy. It's
The,
not easy.
the section 5.3, budget hearing.
I'm really reluctant to monkey with this language, because this really sounds like something that comes straight out of a statute.
It does. The only thing I might add to the end of it, in addition to the town clerk putting it in a newspaper of general circulation in the town, which barely exists anymore, just add something that says they're going to post it to the town website.
Well, and we also said the newsletter.
And
Because I think
now
that-
you're setting up a tripwire, you understand?
Yeah.
Putting in the charter, it's gotta be posted to the town website. If it's not posted to the town website, now you're creating a little landmine.
All right, well, but what if there is no newspaper that we can agree is commonly
Or one you
distributed?
can't get to for free now.
Yeah.
Now
Yeah,
Fox just
right.
charges you.
We need to define what newspaper means today, and the closest we come.
No, we don't.
If they go out of.
Yeah, that's dangerous too.
No, I think,
I don't want that definition in the charter.
no, I think what you're saying is what's the replacement?
Right,
for
we don't
newspaper.
have a town newspaper. I understand what everybody's saying. Yes, there are newspapers. I don't think if Newmarket called the New York Times, we're gonna get much space in there. And we may not get any space at all in any of the other local publications. So for the town of Newmarket, what is the vehicle to let our voters best mimic a newspaper? And to me, it's a combination of the town newsletter, which we put out weekly, and the website.
What's wrong with saying the website? I mean, that's so contemporary.
Well,
I
because,
mean, you gotta,
It's new, it's happening.
no, but the town newsletter is on the website,
Yes.
okay? And
I-
the only reason I bring it up as both is because newspapers sort of suggest delivery, that you're making something that goes to somebody's home. You can sign up to have the newsletter, I get it in my email, but you can independently go to the web and look at the web of Newmarket all the time, but the newsletter is a,
What I heard
Use
Chris saying,
something more generic, like publicly noticed.
I'm gonna say it again. I'm sorry, I don't mean to sound like I'm suffering from some form of asperity. This language is specified in a statute somewhere. And I totally agree that the concept of newspaper of general circulation is an outmoded concept. There are a ton of statutes in this state, and I read one today, that says publish a notice in a newspaper of statewide circulation for 4 consecutive weeks. That's the union leader by default. So I understand the sentiment. I think it's very fair comment to put into a report that these things should be published in the recommendation or suggestion is they get posted on the website or wherever. But if you write it into the charter and then you don't do it, you're now calling into question the validity of the budget if you don't if you put that as a requirement and you don't do it. That's why I suggest that in terms of what's legal, is you stick to what the statute requires you to do, and anything you do above that is a good idea, but not a requirement. That if you don't do it, it calls the validity of your budget into question, because then you're in a world of hurt.
okay.
That's all I'm saying.
makes sense to me.
I understand what you're saying. I still am adverse to something that doesn't make common sense to me. And what you're saying is, for us to qualify based on the current language, someone has to put a notice in the union leader, which 7 people in Newmarket perhaps get, okay? And versus the website, which hundreds of people, if not thousands,
I
may go there.
100% agree with the sentiment, Russ. It's just, if we start making a catalog of things in state law that don't make any sense, we're gonna be here for years and years, and that's, you know,
I just feel we're not fulfilling a purpose, but okay, I thought that was one of the issues we had to resolve at some point when we
So-
first started.
So can we write at a minimum, it will be in the newspaper, and we decide to put it on the website, we decide to put it in the,
I
right?
don't know.
I mean,
You don't have to satisfy me, I'm just bringing up.
Well, it almost sounds like what I hear Chris saying is, it's more of a something for the state legislature to address than it is at our level. And that we're kind of stuck with this because it's the current RSA language that we don't want to monkey with. It's not that, I bet the town does put a lot of this information in the town newsletter,
So-
but it's not a requirement.
I agree with, exactly, I agree with the sentiment of posting it on the website, flying the Goodyear blimp over with the stuff written on the side of it, I got no problem with that. But when you write it into law, now you have to do it.
Right. I get what you're saying. Let the legislature deal with that conundrum.
Didn't the electronic billboards in town satisfy something, is why they were put up, because we lost the newspaper and you wanted to communicate with people driving up 108, you know, that there was being construction or something, or, I don't know, I'm fine.
the only
I
thing I
understand.
questioned on this, and you know, Chris, it says shall be posted in 2 public places. Could we, it's always posted here, could we not say to make it easy for the people, one of which will be the town hall, it's always posted here? Because again, think of the people reading this, 2 public places, well, what are those public places? Is it the school, is it the library, is it Joe's coffee shop?
So 91A2 says one of which could be the town's website.
Okay,
Which was that?
91A2. Just right to know RSA.
that's
It's meetings open to the public.
to know law.
So it's about meetings open to the public where they need, this is not the hearings, right? Because the
Right.
hearing, I'm not sure
Right.
about the hearing.
Traditionally, it'd
But
be
for a
town hall and the
meeting-
post office. Traditionally, that's what you did before you had websites.
Okay. I just didn't know,
Yeah.
again, if someone's looking up 2 public, what are those public places?
There's something else we're gonna lose too shortly, probably, post office.
Well, let's not,
When? I'd love to lose that building.
that needs to be a parking lot.
That's a
Uh,
committee.
That needs to be the Phil Nazaro Memorial Taco Stand.
And parking lots.
Very
And
attractive.
parking lot. I'll be in a van selling tacos.
It's very
For what
attractive in a
what
rural
it's
sort of
worth, I
way.
think, my opinion is to tie our hands more than we need to is not,
Advisable.
it's not advisable. And I'm just hopeful that the people in administration understand the
I
importance
mean,
of getting this
yeah,
information.
I got a Superior Court order in a different case from Judge Schulman that says publication by mail is a joke. It's an outmoded, obsolete concept, but it's what the law is.
Right.
Publication in
Kinda
a
warms the
newspaper. No one
cackles in
reads
my heart.
newspapers anymore.
Let's protect ourselves from nuclear bombs by going underneath school chairs. That's how I
I
grew up.
remember. No one
That
told me to
just
do that.
means
They
you're
told me
gonna
to
get
run
a lot
out.
of sputters.
Anyway,
So,
Did you have the hiding under your school desk when they?
duck and cover.
I remember growing up thinking that catching on fire was going to be a much bigger risk than it actually turned out to be. I've never had to stop, drop, and roll once in my life.
I was always worried about quicksand, and that doesn't seem to have been a problem once in my adult
Don't
life.
jinx it by talking about it,
All
Dan.
right.
All right,
Blazing Saddles.
so the hearing.
Are we ready to move on to?
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've-
we're ready to move on from 5.3. We've conceded.
We've got a way to go on 5.
Yeah,
5.4
25 minutes.
Again, feels like it's all RSA related. I
So,
don't feel like there's any changes
Use of
there.
official ballot. This feels deeply RSA.
Yeah.
E
Yeah.
being, but the one place, there's an E that says repealed, and I don't understand what that's about.
Where does it say that?
Section E.
Section E.
5.4E.
Under 5.4E, it just says repealed. Feels like we could probably get rid of
There's
this.
probably something in the last iteration where there was a portion of the statute that was eliminated. And so we just wrote repealed to keep you want to be careful before you eliminate it, because there might be cross-references in other
Yeah.
parts.
Well, it says warrant articles may be amended subject to the following limitations. E, it was repealed.
I don't,
I'm not following you.
Yeah,
but-
where's
Yeah.
it?
I'm not following you, Al. Where did you
No,
just?
E is
read
not
from?
subordinate to that. That's D2. There's D1, 2, and then E.
Right.
Gotcha.
We
Sorry,
probably, we probably
sorry.
kept it there because there's cross-references to other parts. and
Sorry,
if you
I
eliminate it,
misread
You're
it.
gonna,
Mess with the whole thing.
you're gonna mess
Yeah.
with the whole
Okay.
structure.
So we're
Leave it
gonna
alone.
leave it alone?
This is a portion of the charter where DRA is gonna really go over with a microscope.
Okay.
We can at least question whether we can eliminate E.
Yeah,
I hate somebody to not even know we had a question on whether we can eliminate.
I made a note.
So,
Thank you.
sorry, not to go backwards, but this is the whole reason I was like, I think we can use the website. New Hampshire State Board of Ed has a public hearings page on our website, and that's one of the places where we post notice of hearings.
Okay.
So, any other issues with 5.4?
Nope.
no.
5.5, monthly budget reports and 5-year forecasting.
I think this is another, maybe I outstepped my authority here, but I asked for a copy of the 5-year forecasts so that I could better understand this section. And I'm beginning to believe there aren't any.
The last time I remember the presentation to the Budget Committee having a 5-year outlook was the last year that I was chair.
Right.
That's been at least 4 years ago.
Yeah, there were they were unable to find any records of it, so.
So, here's a potential remedy for no, holy no. This talks about the town manager or designee submitting it to the council.
Yeah.
Like, is there a role for, to Dan's point, like, the budget committee to receive the brief as well?
Sure.
That's what I'd written in my
Yeah.
notes, is
So
that,
so did I. Yeah.
shall be included in the in the town manager's presentation to the
Right.
Budget Committee.
I think that adds, again,
Some more,
teeth to the budget committee in a way that it might encourage more participation to get us to the 11 as opposed to struggling.
right.
I mean, you look at the way this is written, it's pretty obvious what was going through somebody's head when they wrote this, and
It's going through our heads.
yeah, and it looks like it was followed for all of 5 years after the last Charter Commission, and then quietly
I
pushed off
think,
to the side.
I was present when this was added, and so were you. That was exactly the intent. I think it's just faded away.
Is there a way we can add town council and budget committee?
You can, but I mean, it's already here to
But
produce it.
But if the town council's not getting it, if the budget committee's also required to get it, it provides another entity to be like,
To knock
we are
on the
required to
door.
get this by the charter.
Sure, I think
You
that's
can always
great.
add in CIP and planning board, but neither of those are subordinate to the town council, are they?
No, but they're also not budgetary
Yeah,
functions. I
At
see what you're
least the
saying.
budget committee is the start,
Yeah, yeah.
okay, so.
So right now, it's the council.
right. Chris, you seem troubled.
No, I'm just asking the questions I always ask, which is, can you tell me what the price of a barrel of oil is gonna be in 5 years? Can you tell me what the teacher contract or the police contract's gonna look like in 5 years?
And my answer to that is, that's why we call it a forecast.
Yes.
And any business could make that same argument. I don't know what the price of steel is gonna be in 5 years,
Sure.
but I gotta
So you make a series of assumptions.
Right, educated assumptions.
Yeah, and as
Like-
long as you're transparent about what assumptions you're
like,
making.
like we may need a fire department, full-time fire department in 4 years.
And what is the utility of the data? I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
What is the utility of this data?
It takes, just like the stockholders, the citizens of the town have an opportunity to understand their future better than they do now.
Or to make a judgment at least as to whether you agree or disagree or want to bet against it.
And if you feel upset about it, upset enough about it, run for the town
Or to
council.
John's point, where we have a lot of people in town that just can't afford it, and they may make some decisions.
In
Well,
advance of a tax hike that they can't
Is this
afford.
really a place that I could afford to live on a fixed income? I think there are a host of considerations for preparing forecasts.
I see both points. I see the point of like, from the
I'm
taxpayers
just playing
being
devil's
like,
advocate. I
yeah,
just want to make
the-
sure we understand
Yeah.
why this
It's
is,
a great question.
want to articulate why this is important
so
and what use is made of this data.
I would articulate it is it's outside the town council, so there are only two places that have some control or authority over or have to be talked to each year, and that's the budget committee and the CIP. Okay, those are the only check and balances you have against the school or the town that say it's an independent entity, one elected at least. And so making sure it gets beyond the town council, I think, is important. Making it get to a place that has elected officials, I think, is useful as well, so it's not just appointed by the town council. But by having it just presented to the town council, it seems to me it can be controlled a lot easier by being forgotten about, or it's at least an outside entity. That's my.
So, but your point about the 5 year, it's really difficult to forecast 5 years. I think 5-year plans are becoming less the standard in the business world, and they're like going
It'd be
shorter, more
great.
agile, but they're also built more agile than the government is. So
Well,
having I would say having a 3 or 5 year forecast would be better, like, and having the two entities hearing it feels reasonable to me.
yeah, it's a reasonable management tool that you can use to help to create arguments on why people aren't going to get paid as much as they think they might want to get paid, or why you can't satisfy everybody's needs in year one. It's a useful tool in that respect.
When 5-year
Just
plans
plain
came out,
devil's
there was
advocate.
the hockey stick, which is the first 4 years were flat, and then the 5th year, so if you looked at year 1 and year 5, you'd see
Right.
all the growth you wanted, and if you looked underneath it, you'd see nothing's gonna change for the
Yeah.
next 4 years, but we're gonna hit a home run in that 5th year that's gonna make the
Here's-
And I-
Then a
and I-
miracle happens.
and
I
I-
get it, and then if the price of oil doubles, you're still heating your buildings. That's just
Right.
what's going to happen.
But in addition to that, and again, government doesn't like to hear this, but maybe I shouldn't say doesn't like to hear it, but doesn't react to it, and that is that we may need to increase revenues. If we see a projection that says the price of steel is going up 60%, maybe we need to increase revenues.
They have no
Maybe
choice.
maybe that means commercial development. Maybe that means we don't get a Dollar General downtown, we get something that's more revenue producing, so.
Here's the one part of this, in the context of this overall very good discussion, though, that gives me heartburn, and that's the part about the resulting tax impact. And the problem of that is that probably, I mean, set energy aside for a moment, the single most volatile aspect of this we're looking at is state and federal revenues,
Oh,
which
gosh,
are
especially on the school side.
which
Those
are
small.
direct offsets to the tax rate. And I mean, that is not only something that's volatile and unpredictable, but also something that the council and the school board have zero ability to influence.
I would agree with you, but I mean, you can say that in business too, but they ought to be aware of where funding is going.
Revenues and cost, I'm completely on board, but when you reduce that to the tax impact, you're assuming you know something about what's coming out of Washington and Concord that is completely unknowable.
But you ought to know what's coming out of your state legislature.
Hey,
you just have to
they
make-
came after us.
Have you met our state legislature?
Huh?
You just have to make assumptions.
Right.
You just gotta make assumptions.
Even if it's all things being equal, is the assumption, just
Yeah.
something that
Right,
like
we've got a
provides.
Republican government.
Up until this year, I would have assumed that the EPA would exist this time next year. Now I'm not sure.
Right.
And now a lot of decisions have to get made on the basis of, maybe there won't be any more environmental regulation in this country at the federal level.
Short the EPA.
I'm not even joking. We now
I
have
know
to
you're
sit
not.
around and have serious discussions.
Trust
about
me,
that.
Chris, I know you're not joking.
You know, so, but all you can do is make assumptions that the regulatory framework, the legal framework is gonna stay roughly the way it is, and then just see what happens. But the stuff that's coming out of Concord, where there's not gonna be local planning boards anymore, there's not gonna be local ZBAs anymore, it's all gonna be done out of Concord. You know, so, that's on the horizon, and I'm not joking.
I know you're not joking, and that knowledge and that understanding is important in planning the future of our town. That's all I'm saying.
Right, the fact that it's a betrayal of the revolution is insignificant at this point in history, and so there we are. But anyway, you just gotta make a series of assumptions, that's the only way to do this
Right.
in a way that's
So,
halfway.
I
So-
totally agree.
could we agree though to add town council and budget committee?
Yes.
Sure.
Absolutely.
I'd go a step farther and say it's the council's responsibility to present it to the budget committee.
Ooh.
Boy, I don't.
It's the town council's job
We
to
do
make
the
sure the
same thing
town
with the
manager
school
does his or her job.
Job.
All right, fair,
Yeah.
which is,
That's the-
doesn't need to be
that's
written. Yeah.
Fundamentally, that's
Yeah.
the town council's most important job.
And if this,
Really their only one.
and if this commission believes that a 5-year financial forecast seems so unreasonable, changing it to 3 years, I wouldn't be, if they take it more seriously and say, well, how can I predict? If you brought
can
that
only assess-
It's
horizon
the
in.
excuse they use. I can't
Right.
predict 5 years.
Right.
You
But-
can only assess it by looking back at it, right? By saying, this is 5 years ago. This is what we forecast. How close were
Right, right. Just
we? We were
like-
off by a factor of X.
Right. But
And here's
again,
why.
but if it would make it more credible, I would recommend we change it to 3 from 5.
The 5-year thing is important, whether it's 5 or 3. What you're planning over the next 2 or 3 years is important, but the reason for the 5 years is to be able to say, there are things that are gonna take 5 years to change.
That's a good
And that's
point.
part of the strategy that says, let's redo the downtown waterfront, and it has 3 phases that are gonna be done over whatever. So I don't think you can lose that. I understand the further out you go, the more variable your assumptions are potentially
Yeah.
gonna be, but,
The big wild card that's missing from this is, and this is a massive thing for towns, is grant funding.
Yeah.
sure.
For the waterfront project, is there grant money available for any infrastructure project?
Absolutely.
Is there DES money? Is there EPA money?
You can only look
I
backwards
thought
and
the
say.
splash pad, if you remember it, was one of the, not only the best things we may have done, but it cooked in CIP with what state money's available, what grants are available, all the
Yeah.
pieces to the puzzle that made that happen, that not much came from the town's
And that's
coffers.
difficult to forecast, but of course, the town chases grant money religiously for anything we're doing that's relevant to whatever the grant sources are, so
We do.
we absolutely do. We better.
Yeah.
I think they've outperformed in that regard in the last few years.
It's huge.
The
Good
town
Lord.
in general?
I mean, I'm only familiar with certain grants, but yeah, I would say that they've done
To the
very
school
well.
too.
Yeah.
School's been really,
And recreation, certainly.
recreation's also a
Yeah.
profit center.
Oh, God, we should have built 2 of those splash pads. We'd be better off.
You could build one at your house.
I don't think I have room, and it's all downhill, so it would,
I sort of
All right.
remember being.
they'd slide into the
Okay,
woods.
Phil, where are we?
We are now at section 5 point, sorry, not 5, sorry, 5.5.
We're done with it, right?
I just wrote Town Council and Budget Committee.
Okay.
There we go. So 5.6, transfers.
This feels very boilerplatey.
Agreed.
This is not something you want to mess with.
Okay.
5.7.
Yep.
Wow.
This is a bigger one.
I've already made the change we discussed earlier this evening to 5.7E.
Okay.
This is 6 years.
Yeah, because that's what the
This is in
RSA
5
is.
years.
The
This is 6
RSA is
years.
6 years.
We had 5 years somewhere else. But that's the form, right, Phil?
So, yeah, I mean, it's not the form. The RSA drives the 6-year time horizon. And so the form just aligns with that. It's A2 that there's something about this, the way it's written, that to me, all capital improvements, including major replacements, which are proposed to be undertaken, like, I think that's literally what it does. It hears from department heads, and then literally provides a list of all the capital improvements that have been proposed. Like, there's no, like, function of, like, how do they then align those into a coherent plan that is in support of achieving our master plan objectives.
Well, it's up-
There was a rating on the capital projects.
I know it's ratings and stuff. I mean, ticking and tying them together into here's how this all maps into a coherent plan. One plan for the community.
That's the committee's job.
But what the committee does now is, and has sort of been tasked with, is like, okay, how urgent is this? Like, you get a sheet,
Right?
and it's a bunch of like, here's how much money it's gonna cost, here's how urgent it is. Like, you get like a stack of sheets from every department before the budget happens, because it's a budgetary function at this point in time. And then all of those go to the manager, and the town manager says, okay, these are the ones I'm gonna put in my budget.
Okay.
As opposed to, here is the capital improvement plan, the list of all of the proposed projects, how they should be timelined out to not overlap with each other, so that they're, again, integrated in an integrative support structure to achieving the master plan. There's like a real strategic vision alignment, like somewhere between where strategy meets operations, right? You're operationalizing the strategic vision of the community for long-term capital improvements, and then how it's going to be funded, and creating like a plan. Right now, it's not a plan. Right now, it's a series of budget requests. There is no plan.
I'm trying to figure out a connection here, because CIP in theory is a sort of under the auspices of the planning.
Yeah, if you look at the
Maybe not
RSA's.
Planning board,
Yeah.
but the plan, okay.
Yeah, because if it doesn't exist, the planning board's got to do all that work.
All right, I'm
So-
gonna make a we're at 5 minutes till.
Okay. Yeah.
We're not gonna get through 5.7 clearly. Do we wanna try and tackle either 5.8, 5.9, and then call it quits? Because at least then Mark
got
can
stuff
finish
done.
those.
You'll
Yeah.
still have a quorum, but I have a C and J pickup that I need to
Yep.
leave right at 9 for.
That's okay. We will leave at 9. Let's put a pin in CIP. Move on to 5A.
Can't find any objection with
Lapse of
Straightforward.
appropriations.
think 5.8 and 5.9 should be left untouched.
I agree.
Yeah, I don't see any
5.8
reason
and
not to
5.9 are
change
good.
anything.
I'll tell you a war story sometime about 5.9 when John has more time.
Bonding of officials also seems like something we wouldn't need to change at all.
I don't think
Any
so.
issues with that?
Nope.
Borrowing procedure.
This is one that Steve brought up, isn't that right?
I mean, it's an RSA. Did he want us to do
What was
something?
Steve's comment? I wasn't here.
He was looking for more flexibility to accept grants outside of election time periods. So like, you
There's a
know,
statutory procedure for the town, they just have to have a public hearing to accept any
No.
unanticipated
Chris,
revenues.
it was specifically
Wanted to
grants
change
in the
it.
form of loan forgiveness.
Yeah.
So in other words,
Okay.
right now it has to go to the warrant to borrow the money, even though we know if we follow the rules that the loan's going to be forgiven.
Didn't he also talk about an amount,
Yes.
like $2
Well,
million?
yeah, he-
No, because he was
He wants
trying to
the-
change like the Durham form
Yeah,
of
he
government.
wants the $2 million Durham rule.
He just wants to become closer to Durham.
Unrelated to this.
I mean,
Those,
I'm making,
I mean,
I'm making a
related,
note to
unrelated,
check,
yeah.
to check on the, if there's flexibility on the acceptance of grants in the form of loan forgiveness. And just make a note there. I'll check on that, and if it looks like there's something we can do, bring back some language for us to consider.
okay. 5.12, purchasing procedure.
This is just giving,
Yeah.
the council the authority to establish in the administrative code a purchasing procedure if they choose to do so. I think it's a good idea.
And it's,
Did Steve propose any change to this in a meeting that I missed?
I don't recall.
No, I don't
anything
think so.
with Purchasing, no.
Okay,
the council establishes the dollar limits for competitive bids.
right. So they may decide if it's less than $20,000, they're not gonna bother or
Yeah.
whatever. And
That's, I mean,
that's
that's
sensible.
That's totally sensible. They should do that. It should be nimble. Section 5.13, trust funds.
I don't think I have any.
No.
I mean, we had a bit of a problem with the trustees not seeking high enough returns for a few years, but I don't know what you'd put in here that would fix that. That was just oversight from,
It's a matter of administration.
yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn so that our fellow commissioner here can leave.
Okay. We got through all of 11 and all of 5 except for capital improvement. I think
Very accomplished.
we earned our supper tonight. No correspondence? No new business? There's a motion to adjourn. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Adjourn at 8:59.